This video is based on two articles published by The Economist. The first article title is How to Get Rich in Modern China. The year of the fire horse, which began on February 17th, is hardly galloping along for many Chinese. A property bust and tyrannic deflation have eroded people's assets, incomes, and prospects. Residential property, where Chinese people store the bulk of their wealth, has lost a fifth of its value on average since 2021. Wage growth is weak, and youth unemployment is hovering around 17%. Some graduates find themselves forced into precarious employment in the gig economy. Others say they are choosing to lay flat rather than look for a job. But in the sea of people losing, one group is winning. They are what Xi Jinping, China's leader, called 弄潮儿, a Chinese term referring to those who ride the tide of great economic changes. Today, that tide is flowing towards the strategic technologies such as artificial intelligence and robotics that dominate the country's 5-year plans for tech supremacy. The next one will be released in March and will cover the period to 2030. Smart, young, and sometimes from modest backgrounds, the 弄潮儿 does not flash their growing wealth, and in any case tend to prefer homegrown electric vehicles to purchase. And they do not see officials as a source of pesky regulation to be avoided, but as their biggest backers. Mr. Xi met a group of them publicly just before the lunar holiday. Only recently, China's tech sector was battered by officialdom. In 2020, Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, a tech giant, made a speech attacking regulators for stifling innovation with outdated supervision. Mr. Ma then disappeared for several months, and officials blocked the planned initial public offering of one of his companies. China has since squeezed its tech sector, with the regulator targeting everything from cryptocurrency exchanges to video game developers. Officials prefer the brightest and best to be in the strategic industries China needs to compete with America. Mr. Xi has urged tech workers to cultivate feelings of devotion towards serving the country. State-guided innovation of this sort has its problems. Priorities are set by central government officials betting on the technologies they happen to think will prove critical. Local officials burn cash supporting favored but feeble firms in their neighborhoods, and state-supported industries converge from glory to gore if subsidies are pulled back. But for a smart entrepreneur willing to serve where directed money slashes from local government coffers, state-owned companies, and national venture capital funds. Just in December, China's central government announced a new 100 billion yuan fund to invest in startups, and it's hard to deny that some of the results from all these state involvements are impressive. Chinese tech companies are now globally competitive in everything from electric vehicles and renewable energy to telecommunications and AI. The party's big bet on high-tech industries may not end up benefiting most Chinese workers. Economists at Citigroup, a bank, point out that big industrial firms have shed 23 million jobs since 2014. Automation, they argue, is largely to blame. Still, Mr. Xi seems sure his approach to China's development is the right one. Science tech, self-reliance is the key to building China into a great modern socialist country, he told the Nongchao'er group. Mr. Xi's cordial exchange with us has strengthened our determination and sense of mission even more, one later told state media. The second article title is China's humanoids are dazzling the world. Who will buy them? The Spring Festival Gala is a showcase both of China's cultural riches and its technological might. The 4-hour state television program, staged in Beijing on the eve of each Lunar New Year, often features goose stepping phalanx of singing soldiers. On February 16th, the centerpiece was a troupe of sword-brandishing humanoid robots performing on elaborate material arts routine. It was one of 4 humanoid embellished acts that wowed viewers around the world. China's humanoid robotic industry is bustling. More than 14,500 automatons were delivered last year worldwide, up from around 3,000 in 2024, according to company reports and estimates from Omdia, a research firm. Nearly all came from China. The country's 2 leading humanoid makers, Algebot and Unitree accounted for more than 10,000 of the total. Elon Musk's Tesla, which produces the Optimus bot, shipped just 150. What is more, China is also home to the world's deepest supply chain for humanoids, which is churning out components. China's state will probably remain the biggest source of demand for some time. Without local governments buying the bots, it would be difficult to keep the more than 100 Chinese humanoid makers alive, along with the thousands of suppliers that increasingly rely on them. It is not the first time China has lavished money on a new technology before there is much of a market for it, but doing so in the case of humanoids could prove a costly waste. The trouble is that to become more than novel entertainment, robots need to be regularly deployed in settings where they do the same jobs as humans, allowing them to gather data on which they can be trained. This is why finding situations where robots can perform real work is so important for the industry, notes a Singaporean maker of robot hands that manufactures in Shanghai. A tiny fraction of humanoids sold today end up in factories where they often carry boxes and are about 30 to 40% as efficient as a human at doing so. China's state is eager to help. Local governments have been setting up centers that allow companies to put their robots to work on various tasks and collect data. Some is then pulled and shared. Shanghai has set up one such center that can accommodate 100 humanoids. The state's role is so pivotal that venture investors are picking robotics companies based not just on their technological capabilities, but also on the local government resources available to them, says one investor in Hangzhou. The state has also thrown money at the industry. Robotics has become a priority for local officials across the country who hope to get a share of industry within their tax jurisdiction. But the government's most important role by far is as a buyer. It was the biggest purchaser of humanoids last year, according to industry insiders, and will probably remain so this year and next. Most are being used as frivolous showpieces. RG bots have lately become a staple of government parties in Shanghai. China's strategy carries risks. Accompanying the robotics buzz is a sense among executive and investors that the industry is starting to get ahead of itself. Wang Zhongyuan of Beijing Academy of artificial intelligence, a state-backed research lab said in a speech last year that if mass production is not underpinned by real-world demand, public enthusiasm will be short-lived. If robots become widespread before they become useful, he explained, the humanoid bubble will burst. Okay, that's all for today's video. Thank you so much for your time, and see you in the next one.